Awesome. So my firm is called Swati Goorha Designs, which is obviously my namesake. And I started this firm about 5 years ago, and we have been very fortunate in the clients we've had, in the publications we've been in, and the kind of projects we've been able to do. So just to give you a little sneak peek, I am on the board of House Beautiful Magazine's Advisory Council. There were 25 designers that were picked from all over the country, and I am one of them. And I'm also on the masthead of this magazine. House Beautiful is a very prestigious magazine in design world, and it's one of the older magazines that has been around. I have also been on USA Today's Reader's Choice Advisory Board, where we select things so people can vote on them. I have been in several magazines and also newspapers like The Record, the Star Ledger, Design NJ, NJ.com. So a lot of local media and a lot of national media and publications and small programs that talk about design too. We have also done show houses, and this is a sketch from Mansion in May, which is probably one of the oldest running show house in New Jersey and one of the most esteemed show houses on the East Coast. And they it's a privilege to be in there because for the 32 rooms they had 135 design firms apply for it. So we were like honored to be in it and be part of it. And I love doing show houses because you get to create these spaces that you might not always do in your client's house. They are like bigger and larger than life, and there's all the creativity you can put into a space. So this particular room was inspired by my glamping trip to Morocco. So I wanted to create that ambiance of being out in the desert glamping, but also create like a hideaway. The room was called the Wondrous Hideaway. So that's a bit about myself, but now we'll go into the meat and potatoes of this presentation. I want to introduce you to biophilic design a little bit. So you would ask me what biophilic design is. Biophilic design is a design field where the emphasis is on bringing outdoors in through plants, green walls, calming water elements, fireplace, and colors, so that when you're stuck at home, you have that uplifting environment that really uplifts mood, because cabin fever sets in. So whenever you live in very cold environments, they tell you put in a lot of lights, bring in a lot of different colors. Biophilic design really emphasizes how to bring nature or outdoors into your space so that it affects and calms your mood and your living environment. So I want to give you some tips on how to introduce biophilic design into your spaces. So first and foremost is doing natural elements. So most of the pictures that you will see today are all my work and things that my firm has done. So this was a powder room we did for Mansion in May. So you can see how we have this wallpaper which has leaves in it. There's greens. So it's very nature inspired, and you don't need to go all out and do such bold prints. It can be done in smaller doses too, where you can have artwork in your spaces which has few natural elements, but emphasis is truly to bring natural elements in. So some of the ways you can do that is to bring using indoor plants is one of the simplest and easiest way to bring outdoors in. So it's no surprise that nowadays you'll see that the sale of plants has gone up, and you'll see plants and flowers in a lot of pictures. They're not just for looking pretty, but they're also very good for your overall well-being. Besides just the natural elements, plants are also very good for air purifying qualities. Plants like snake plants they say they are the greatest and the best air purifiers. And especially when you're closed up inside, it's always nice to have, some of that natural element in air purifying And in terms of doing plants, think besides just doing, large plants, you can do smaller, use plants in smaller ways also, like terrariums, live moss, small rock gardens on a table, on your coffee table. And also, plants are a great way to bring height into a corner, or, there are all these corners in everybody's house. You're like, I don't know what to put in that corner. Plants are a great way to introduce that. So just going forward, I just wanted to show some work, like, you see how we brought some color into this space and brought some natural elements. Don't forget about ceilings. When you look up, notice how we did this gorgeous ceiling on top of this very simple the breakfast area. And even now I get texts from my clients whenever they go and have their morning coffee, especially during this whole pandemic situation, where they would be like, every time I come to this room, it makes me happy. So, just adding some colors, some patterns, some natural elements is definitely the way to go. Now, in terms of colors, so I know how progressively everything is becoming, let's get our house ready for sale, make it all white, make it all gray. But really, do you want to get up and see white and gray rooms with no personality every day, especially when you're stuck inside your home? So there is a huge shift in design that's coming, where people are moving from the whites and the grays, and you'll start seeing progressively in all the magazines and things you see, where people are really personalizing their space with color and really enhancing the way they live in the space. Because now that our homes are becoming our offices, our kids' school, our Zoom call places, we're doing everything in our homes. We're entertaining ourselves and Zoom, like via Zoom, our friends. So we're basically stuck in our homes. So why not introduce a lot more personality into it? So the notion of house as a sanctuary is also reflected in how various colors, materials, layout contribute to an environment that promotes well-being. So this is the reason why I said the grays and the white spaces that were great for resale, but not necessarily very uplifting, are on their way out. And progressively, you'll start seeing that there's a lot of color coming back. And in terms of color, think about colors that are found in nature: greens, blues, jewel tones. These are all great ways to bring colors into space. So anything that can be found in nature, like the blue that we just use in this kitchen and this entryway. Again, the moment you open the door, it's just such a beautiful cloud color that just embraces you the moment you walk in. And then you saw the green kitchen we did, which is also like, it's a bold color, but every time you walk in there, you're not going to be like, oh my God, I'm walking into my white kitchen. So, introducing color definitely brings a lot of personality into the space. The second thing that I see that people do and make a lot of mistakes on is views. I've seen so many people face their furniture away from gorgeous views. Not everybody is blessed to have beautiful views, but if you are, make sure you focus everything to the views. Bringing the outdoors in, this basically when you have a seamless transition from outdoors coming in indoors. So this is one of the projects we did where they had those mullion lines, the squares on the windows, like you see in most of the windows. The first thing we did was remove those squares, the wood mullions from the windows, so that there's this beautiful, clean plate glass windows. We did some architectural details to highlight the windows. So we put all the custom millwork in to highlight the windows and make them the feature of the space. And again, notice how we made seating in such a way that there are two focal points in this room. One is the television and the other is the views outdoors. So we made sure that both those views, the two focal points, are addressed. So whenever you have beautiful views, make sure you enhance it, put lighter window treatments for protection, but don't really cover your windows too much. And then try to make sure that everything is featured, focusing the views outside. The other thing that is really big right now that we're seeing a lot of is green walls. Not everybody has a green thumb. A lot of people are expert at killing plants. And so these green walls need no maintenance. They're moss, and some of these elements are artificial. So this is like a dry green wall, needs no maintenance. And it's just a great way to bring greenery and, you know, bring outdoors in. There are also other things like there are live green walls, which have circulation system, and, you know, people do literally vertical gardens, which are also becoming very prevalent now in design, now that everybody wants to bring the outdoors in because we're all stuck at home. Other ways to do it is there are these smaller, you know, smaller little cases. You can buy them on Etsy or anywhere online where you can put succulents in it, or plants that don't need too much maintenance. Ivy can be put in it, and you can hang them on the walls. And that's, again, a good way to bring outdoors in. The other way to bring outdoors in is natural elements. Try to use, you know, artwork. If you don't have plants, try to use artwork which has nature, flowers, sceneries from outdoors. And try to use florals, and also try to use natural materials like sisal, or you know, grass related or natural materials like linen, something that really focuses on what it should be, like what nature should be. So I wanted to give you these small tips on how you can do small things to bring biophilic design into your life. And here is my room for Mansion in May. I wanted to leave you with some eye candy. So my room in Mansion in May, as I talked about it in the beginning, which was inspired by a glamping trip to Morocco, and it was designed for a person who travels the world and brings back memories. And each piece in this room was from around the world. The focus was a lot on color and, you know, creating an environment that's really calming and beautiful. And that's that for me. And I have an Instagram if you want to follow me. I have a Facebook page, and a lot of these pictures and many more are on my website if you ever want to go and look for inspiration. But that's my presentation for today. Any questions?
Fantastic presentation, Swati. I was really impressed with what I saw. A couple questions.
Yes.
In the show houses, who pays for the for all the furniture and the materials and so on?
So we try to, so a lot of people would offer to, you know, feature their products a lot of, so we partner with a lot of vendors. So we get some stuff that's for free. And then some local guys would also say, okay, I'll do the wallpaper if you give me some, you know, credit for it, which
Right.
we give credits to everybody. But it's expensive. We pay for a lot of things. I mean, we do get discounts and stuff, but we end up paying for a lot of things out of pocket and owning those things. And, you know, everything when you go to a show house is for sale, but not everything gets sold. So
I understand.
have a garage or a warehouse full of stuff from different show houses. But yeah, it's mostly the designer paying whoever is putting the show house out, and then we do get like sponsorships, and we do get vendors, you know, giving us fabric, like in
But
my
presumably some of those things that don't sell, you can use again with your clients if there's an appropriate spot for it.
sometimes you can, and we have some things, but I'm one of those designers who tries to use novel materials and, you know, things for every project. And not every project might be able to, but yeah, we try to. I mean, not that I have been able to sell too much of what I have, but you know,
I understand.
it's yeah, but yeah, potentially you can. Correct. Any other questions?
Yeah, just not a question, but
Yeah.
you mentioned ivy as a potential indoor plant.
Yeah.
I have a lot of ivy around my house,
Yeah.
crawling up the walls of my house, crawling up the walls of my garage, coming into my house through the cracks. And the interesting thing is that some of it grew through a crack in the wall into the garage,
Wow.
and it actually practically turned white. So this
Wow.
stuff is so amazingly adaptable
Yeah.
that I've never thought of it as an indoor house plant.
Yeah.
But now that you mentioned it, I'm going to take some of the ivy that I have outside, and it's very
Yeah.
easy to replant. Just
Yeah.
cut it off, stick it in the water,
Yeah.
and it'll grow some roots. You stick it in some soil. And
You
my
don't
guess,
even have to stick it in soil. I have like a glass, really cool glass bottle,
yeah,
and
with
I have
just
ivy
water.
in water.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't even need to put it in like there are a few plants that I have a few plants in my house on the windowsill in the kitchen, which are in basically a glass bottle with water, and ivy is one of them.
Well, I think they're practically non-destructible. So that's a great tip.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely a great way to like put some plants on the windowsills and stuff. And when you're doing your dishes, it's always nice to look at, something nice and beautiful. All right, that was me.
Question.
Anything else I can help you with? Let me know if you
Got a
ever have
question.
any.
You
Yes,
got
please.
Mike.
Okay, Mike. Mike, are you mute?
You muted yourself, Mike.
Let me see.
There he
Can you
is.
hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, I can. Yes, Mike.
Yeah. When you design something such as a kitchen or a bathroom, do you work with builders, architects, construction people? What's your
Yes.
involvement?
Correct. So let me explain a little bit about how we work. So we work in multiple different ways, and we are brought on a project at multiple different times. Let's talk about the very first stage, like when people are building homes from scratch. They would hire us at the same time they do the architect, because we work very closely with the architect. The architect will come up with basically the structure of the house, and then we work with the architect in finessing and finalizing the space planning, the electrical plan, the plumbing plan, based on where we want everything to be in terms of bathroom design, kitchen design, and the light fixtures to be. So that's step one, where then the second phase where sometimes clients bring us is when this house is already constructed, they've already worked with an architect. Now it's time for finishes and furnishing and space planning. So that's the second time, like that's the second way clients bring us in. The third way is the house is a builder house. It's a brand new house and it has no personality. They bought it from a builder. It's already built, and now they want to infuse personality into the house. So they will bring us in, we'll do the space planning, we'll change out finishes wherever it's required, and we'll redo the kitchen if it's required. Then the other way people bring us in is like yourself, who's lived in a house for a long time, and you think your kitchen is not working out or certain spaces are not working out. You knock a wall down and you put a new kitchen, you infuse some personality, do more efficient space planning. And then so when we do that, I have a team of subcontractors and builders and carpenters, and they work for me exclusively. And we have vetted them because their work is exceptional. That's one of the biggest things, with the tradespeople, is sometimes if you want to get something done, or if something's not done right, you want to get them in, you wouldn't hear back from them after a while. So all the people we work with are completely vetted. And if I make a phone call, they'll be there tomorrow to fix any issues that are there. So we also have, and then we do work, like I do work with my own team, but if there is a builder involved that the client is working with, we work with them too. So does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, so that was me. Now and hi, Neela.
Hi, how are you?
Good, I haven't seen you in a while.
I had a power outage.
Okay. That's awesome. That's great. Neela, I had Neela's pictures in one of my show houses, by the way, the one with the Grace's house, and Neela was very generous in letting me borrow some of her beautiful work, and it really made the space. So it was good to have that.
Thank you.
Any other? Hi, Susan.
Sorry to be late. Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody on the screen.
I like
Susan.
your green background.
I'm in the weeds.
Wrong kind of read.
Swati, you look great. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Is there anything else I can answer for anyone in terms, any design questions, any queries? Peter, you're mute. I can't hear you. Okay.
Do you work with in existing houses?
Yes.
Bring in wallpaper and furnishings to change a room?
Yes, we do that all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if there's an existing house that's like somebody who's been living in the house for a long time, or they bought the house and at that time they didn't want to invest in it, but now is the right time to 5 years later or 6 years later, they realize it's not working out. So they'll bring it. That's a lot of our work where clients are already living in the house. And I think that's 50%, 60% of our work where the client is already living in the house and now they want to update it. Sometimes also when they buy a new house, they don't necessarily want to do any structural changes. They just want to infuse personality by, adding wallpaper, finishes, furnishing, new light fixtures, just add some personality to the space.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, that was me. Yes, Mike.
Is wallpaper coming back?
Oh, it's so I feel like the word wallpaper was such a awful word because of the fruits and the flowers we saw everywhere, and and how tough it was to take those wallpapers out. But if I showed you some of the wallpaper today, you wouldn't even believe it's wallpaper. Like you would think it's fabric, but it's actually vinyl, which means that you could spill a whole cup of coffee on the wall, throw a whole cup of coffee on the wall and just wipe it down with a squeegee, no problem. And it's easy to strip too. So there's a new technology called Easy Strip. Basically, it's not coming out in pieces. The whole wallpaper, if you want to remove it, can be taken out in long strips, and it's just very easy to remove. So the wallpaper has come a long way. If I showed you some of the things that wallpaper has, it's just fabulous what is going on in terms of wallpaper. It's a whole new world. So yes, it is almost every project we do, some room, at least one room has some kind of wallpaper, either on the ceiling or on the walls or in the entry foyer. It's such a great way to bring texture and pattern to a space.
Is there another word that's used? Is there another term for wallpaper?
No, wallpaper is wallpaper.
Uh-huh.
There is no new word for wallpaper.
Just wondered. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, no, I mean wallpaper. If I might be able to. Do you have any samples of wallpaper here? I might be able to like pull some of the things to show you like some cool things. There's metallic, there's grass cloth. There's also like wallpaper that dampens noise. So if you're in an office situation and you have a lot of children, we have a wallpaper you can put on the walls that makes the walls acoustical. So there's like so many different iterations of wallpaper now that, it's not that old way we used to think of wallpaper. In my office alone, like if you look at my ceiling right here, can you see it?
Yeah.
That's a wallpaper on my ceiling. So, and the wallpaper is like, there's so many different ways of doing things now. So it's all right, thank you. So here is one. Can you see this? This is actually velvet. You can't I wish you could feel it. Just smooth. This is velvet. And look at the thickness of this thing. You see it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's like, it's a wallpaper basically.
Mm.
But look at how, like, do you think of it as a wallpaper? Like if you touch it, you'll think you're touching a cushy velvet, but it's basically a wallpaper and it has a thickness. So they're like, wallpaper is a whole new world in today's world.